Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and my wife just made me help take the trash out. I should have woken my 14-year-old up to do it, but I had to do it. I know that's hard for you to even imagine that I would have to carry the trash out. I've tried to explain to my wife that I should not have to take the trash out. Her answer to me is, if XRP does what you say it's going to do, then you won't have to take the trash out. So for now, temporarily, we are still taking trash out. And I've always wondered if Brad Garlinghouse or Chris Larson has to take the trash out too. I'm sure they do, actually. But anyway, here we go. So, by the way, my earphones, I accidentally left them in my car overnight, and so I'm hoping that they're charged good enough to get through this thing. We shall find out. Okay, the first thing I wanted to point out is that today, David Schwartz is starting his, he's going to have his first episodes of his Block Stars. It's a podcast that he's doing that you'll be able to get on Spotify. Ripple said, get ready to binge tomorrow. You'll have 3 Block Stars episodes to dive into during quarantine. And let's see. He says, David Schwartz says he's going to do Chris Larson, Team Aiken, which is, I think, one of the guys from Aiken, whatever that is. And then Mark Blinder's the one from Aiken. And then he's going to have Catherine Coley from Binance America on there. So that's going to be today. And here's their Spotify. This is the Spotify podcast website right here. So if you don't have access to that, don't worry, because we'll at least show some of it and sum it up for you on this channel, probably in my second video today, depending on when they release this. Sergeant Obi-Wan, this is an article from MarketWatch. This year's lining up exactly like the 2000.com bubble crash. Stocks will drop 40% from here, and that's a former Goldman Sachs manager. The one thing that has shocked me more than anything, watching financial news throughout the current events, the one thing that has amazed me more than anything is that the stock market has not gone down, and I'm talking gone down 40 to 90% more than it has. I am shocked that people are still that disillusioned, and that the investing world the markets don't completely comprehend what has been done, shutting down the entire world economy over a period of 1 or 2 months. That has never been done in the history of the world, and the repercussions, I don't think that people have any idea what's coming, the cascading of that. And then there's this, and I said something about this, but this is a CNBC video, and then I'll show you what I wrote.
To borrow just shy of $3 trillion in this quarter alone to fund the expenditures outlined in.
Anyway, I'm not playing the whole video because she talks about the current events, and I still am not comfortable with those words since YouTube was not allowing us to say those words. But the point is, the U.S. Treasury plans to borrow a record $3 trillion just this quarter. Okay, our debt is going to be over, I think it's over $25 trillion. In other words, you accumulate, which is crazy, you accumulate $22 trillion since the beginning of the country. Then, in a period of a quarter, you add another $3 trillion. What in the world are they thinking, unless they're trying to bankrupt the United States of America, which is what I believe this is. I believe it's a controlled bankruptcy. Now, what I said was the bailouts of 2008 financial crisis were Pandora's box. I even told my banker friends who were trying to say that that was a good thing and that this is good. I remember being at a party and looking one of my banker friends right in the face, and I said, now listen, here's the problem. The second that you go from capitalism, which is what we used to have, second you go from capitalism to a world where anybody, as long as you have a quote emergency, who designates that, who knows, but as long as you have an emergency, if we're entering a world where you can pick which industries you consider to be under an emergency and need bailouts from the U.S. government, that's Pandora's box, and it will never be shut, because once the politicians realize that they can get away with it, then anything goes from there. And you're seeing it now. Look, I know that the current events are terrible, but this doesn't end well economically. This is a dead end road, this bailout road we're on. This time it's whatever, hotels and airlines and whoever else. Next time it'll be a different emergency. But now they have the cookie cutter. Now they have bailouts. Pandora's box is now open. They know that the citizens are okay and accepting of bailouts now. So now you no longer live in capitalism. I don't care what they call it. It's not capitalism. Unless they roll this into something that is capitalism, it's not capitalism, folks. Bailouts are not capitalism. And the problem here is that when you got someone choosing who gets bailed out, that means that somebody is being chosen to not get bailed out. And that means that the competitors of Company A that are Company B that didn't get bailed out can no longer compete with Company A who did get a bailout. That's the problem. That's why it's not capitalism anymore. So this is a disaster. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you rationalize the bailouts. I don't care how they're rationalized. It's a disaster. And it's not the way the United States was founded, period. Okay. XRP crypto wolf. Ripple is hit with another XRP class action lawsuit. Bitcoin manipulation abatement is the latest plaintiff to try to get a court answer if XRP is a security. XRP community, don't worry, since it's just another bogus lawsuit trying to attack Ripple. Well, I make a couple of points here. First, I don't care what company you are. If you're a successful company, you get to endure lawsuits. Ask Facebook how many pending lawsuits they have, or ask Google, any large company, and there's a reason for that. Deep pockets equal lawsuits. Attorneys, they can pretend like they have the best interest of their clients and all that garbage, mumbo jumbo. But the bottom line is, if that were the case, then they'd be suing poor people too, but they don't. They only sue companies with deep pockets. Next thing, as I've told you, I know that many of you out there may still believe that the world runs and we've got these the courts and the laws, and all that means that, if this judge slams the hammer and they declare XRP a security and that's that, it's all over. Well, got news for you. This judge and that judge, they're all beholden to someone. They have a boss, and I don't care if they're elected and they're supposed to be independent. Just like the Fed's supposed to be independent. Bullcrap. That's not the way the world works. I always use the comparison of that movie, and I'm not going to summarize it again, but go watch that movie with Tom Cruise called American Made, where he works for the CIA, and then he also works for the drug cartel, and he's running drugs, guns, and doing money laundering all at the same time. Go watch that movie and watch the scene in the courtroom when Bill Clinton, who at the time was governor of Arkansas, picks up the phone and gets this guy out of the situation, even though he'd committed multiple crimes. That's how the world works. And I'm not saying that Ripple committed a crime. I'm just saying that this isn't going to be called a security. And Ripple never would have been able to attract all of the Ivy Leaguers that they did if that was even a real concern. That's what I'm saying. Okay, moving along. XRP Crypto Wolf again. For those of you that watch Billions, the 5th season of Billions started with a Bitcoin mining plot and a discussion on Bitcoin and USD's intrinsic value. Billions is a very popular show on Showtime, so the fact they're talking about Bitcoin makes me very bullish on mainstream adoption. Well, no question about that. And for those of you that don't remember, Billions also did an episode on where they held up a Ledger Nano S and had like millions of dollars in cryptocurrency on the thing, and they were bragging about how I've got this on a Ledger Nano S. So anyway, moving along from that, Michael at BAL5 links, with individuals either not receiving theirs yet or receiving their payment in the wrong account, 11 members of Congress have written a letter to the Secretary of Treasury, Steven Mnuchin, asking him to consider usage of blockchain technology. Now, I haven't gone over this. This is from a couple of days ago. I don't know what we're able to talk about and not talk about with regard to this letter, but I can tell you that there are people in the digital asset community and the XRP community that were involved in consulting with people having to do with this letter. I know that for a fact, Jack. Okay, don't think that you do not have any kind of influence in this world, because you do. Okay, now Perfect Symmetry sent me this from Arturo Portillo. Let me make sure I follow this person. Yeah. Very interesting job positions at Ripple. Staff software engineer, liquidity. We build a distributed ledger platform that provides real-time access to crypto markets, liquidity aggregation. Product manager for RippleNet Home. These are the two job positions, but this is the one I wanted to focus in on. For those of you, many of you are new watching this, you need to see this if you haven't seen it. This is a video. When I was at Swell in Singapore, they did a demo video of RippleNet Home, and it really blew me away. And if you haven't seen it, it'll blow you away. And so I'm going to show it to you now. Watch this. This is where all this is going, folks. And they're hiring engineers for RippleNet Home, so it's happening.
I do want to showcase something a little bit, a different type of demo. This is a video. It's regarding a product that is called RippleNet Home. For our financial institutions who work with us, they interact with Ripple through a customer portal. And as we imagine what the future generations of this portal will allow our customers to do, it includes things as automated connections to new partners in a matter of minutes as opposed to days, business insights on your payment flows across the world, pricing comparisons. So what you're about to see, it's a 2 or 3 minute video. It's a glimpse into the future of what RippleNet Home, your experience, essentially how you interact with RippleNet as a customer of ours, can look like. We do want to get feedback. So you're going to see an email address at the end of the video. It's ux@ripple.com. If you have feedback, because you're a current customer or a prospect and you have ideas, or would like to meet with us one-on-one to learn a little bit more, please feel free to reach out. But for now, let me introduce the future of RippleNet Home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the future of RippleNet Home. Imagine an entirely new experience where you can get insights about your company's payment flows and performance in real time, as well as intelligent suggestions for how you can grow your market share and increase your competitive advantage in different parts of the globe. As you explore and interact with the network, growth opportunities for your company get surfaced to improve your capabilities in an existing corridor or expand into a new one. Evaluate the size and potential of a market and immediately find the partner that best fits your business goals. Get to know your potential partner, their capabilities, and perform the necessary due diligence, all within RippleNet Home. Then send a request to get connected instantly. Receive new opportunities to connect with RippleNet members that can offer you low rates and instant settlement with on-demand liquidity. Manage and respond to all of your inbound requests in one central place from wherever you are. And watch as your network and your reach continue to grow. Track all of your payments on RippleNet with smart automation that reduces errors. And analyze your transaction history to understand how you can fully optimize global payments at your company. This is just a glimpse of what's in store for RippleNet Home. What else can you help us imagine?
Okay, so I thought that was a pretty amazing video when I saw it, and I still do. Okay, now let's I want to go back as I go into this. I want to go back to, I've shown it to you in the last two videos. I want you to listen to it again, and I'm going to go into something else so I'll show you a few things. This is from that video we played the other day. Listen up close.
Yeah, and another one that Luxembourg is another one that we should look for. Chris Larson, who is one of the founding members, he's on the board up there in Luxembourg. And if you read the IMF in there, in order to get into the basket of currencies to be on the SDR, you have to have at least one country that adopts a digital asset. If it were to be into that basket, that one country would have to adopt it. In Luxembourg and a little country called Liechtenstein are the two countries that I've heard mentioned. That I don't know.
Well, yeah, John.
Okay. Excuse me. So that's the clip. So he's basically saying that there's a rule, basically, and I showed you this yesterday. There's a rule that one of the member countries of the IMF has to adopt a currency in some way in order for it to be included in the SDR basket. Well, I was reminded by John McClain XRP. I like that name. John McClain XRP reminded me of this clip. Now, you'll remember this clip. This is the clip of Brad Garlinghouse when he's on stage with Ross Leclow, he was the IMF's deputy general counsel. And I'm not going to play this part. I'm going to play the full clip, which was also provided to me. But I wanted to show you this. In this exchange, people are allowed to ask questions, and they're asking if the IMF is ever going to hold digital currencies. This guy responded. He said, Brad's response to Ross saying the only way the IMF holds crypto is if a country adopts crypto as their nation's currency. That's the same thing the guy said in that video I just played you. Now, that's from back in April 18th, 2019. Now, the full, now we've played this a lot, but it's just a small clip. The part you haven't heard is after this short clip, and that was I was reminded of that by Crypto Sausage, who's got a weenie dog on here. My wife's a big weenie dog person. Okay, but she hasn't let us get one yet. But for those of you that don't remember, once XRP does what I know it's going to do, then I'm going to be allowed to get a weenie dog, and it's going to be named Ripple. Although my sons are arguing with me over that right now, what the name will be. Okay, so here's the actual clip. Now listen up close, because I'm going to play more of it than you may have heard before.
Screen, which I can't really read from here, but we're supposed to pick some. Can you see those? Oh, there's 2 votes.
Let me try.
Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? Oh, they're over here. That's easier.
I want you to really, I'm not going to stop this again, but I want you to really take note of Brad Garlinghouse's body language in this video, and you tell me, does that look like the level of confidence of someone who already knows that something big is going to happen with the IMF? It sure does to me.
You want to take one? Go for it. The first one's for you. IMF. Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? I did not put that up there.
Remember, I'm from the legal department. I'm supposed to be very conservative about these things. I don't want to go into great details about
Maybe
the IMF.
I should take what the IMF is going to do. I think we stunned Ross into silence with that one.
For that to happen, okay, under the current legal framework, some country would have to use a crypto asset as its currency.
Which goes to the next question that was on the list, actually. Will central banks issue digital currency become a reality in the next few years?
Well, again, there's a lot of work being done by a number of central banks in different, regions of the world. I think generally speaking, many of these central banks are coming to the conclusion that they don't see the benefits right now of doing it, but they're very seriously considering the use case. And I think as work proceeds, they maybe become the possibility may increase. Particularly the Bank of Canada with its Project Jasper experiment has realized that a central bank digital currency on its own may not offer benefits now, but when combined with other things like the security settlement system, the use cases begin to emerge. So let's keep an open mind.
We have a few more minutes. We'll take a couple of these questions. I'll just add to the answer on this one real quickly. It strikes me that there's a little bit, there's a slightly controversial statement about this. Don't central banks already issue digital versions of their fiat? And what I mean by that is when I log into my bank account and I see a number representing my deposits, that's a digital representation. They don't actually have the dollars behind that for everything we have. Moreover, and I think I have some Singapore dollars in my pocket, there's a serial number on that Singapore dollar that, okay, it is 100, but wait, in the US there's serial numbers on here. Yes, there's a serial number on here, 3AX561167. It's in some ways, what's the difference between having a serial number and having a digitization of the Singapore dollar? So I think it's not a very big leap. So the question I think was in the next few years, I think certainly you're going to see central governments that have digital currency within the next few years. My prediction. All right. The next one, oh no, we already touched that. Well, how blockchain can aid the cross-border payments, we kind of already touched on that, even though it has 3 votes.
Okay, that was pretty much what I wanted you to see there. Now, let me see. I wanted to give some credit here. What I'm about to show you was provided to me by Brad Combs. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think, what does he go by? Big Skinny on Twitter, who is the official smart aleck of the Digital Asset Investor channel. I think he provided the document to Brad, but I'm not certain of that. I think that's how this went. But Brad, if you don't follow Brad, I told you yesterday, if you don't follow Brad, or the day before, if you don't follow him on YouTube, you need to go give him a subscribe, because he has been hitting it out of the park with a lot of this stuff. And he's a friend of mine, but he's also very smart. Does a live stream every day. I think he does it at around 12. Don't quote me, but he does a live stream every day and does a couple of videos. But this guy, when the history books are written, he's going to have called a lot of this. So go give him a subscribe if you haven't. But here's what he provided me with. Now, this is a 67-page document. I am not going through all of this document today. I'm just going to go over one or two parts of it today. But first, I want to show you who put it out. It's the Financial Stability Board. Now, let's look at who that is. About the Financial Stability Board, the FSB promotes international financial stability. It does so by coordinating national financial authorities and international standard-setting bodies as they work toward developing strong regulatory, supervisory, and other financial sector policies. It fosters a level playing field by encouraging coherent implementation of these policies across sectors and jurisdictions. Now, one of the things they do is collaborate with the International Monetary Fund to conduct early warning exercises. So the point is that the FSB, all these organizations are all interconnected. FSB, you name it. You hear G20, FSB, World Bank, United Nations, whatever. All these international organizations, they're all in the same club. Okay, so let's go back to this document. This document is called Addressing the Regulatory, Supervisory, and Oversight Challenges Raised by Global Stablecoin Arrangements. Now, I spoke to Brad Combs about this, and both he and I, until we saw this document, had never heard the word used, global stablecoin. But now we have. Global Stablecoin, a consultative document, and this was put out. It was put out last month, okay, April 14th. I want to show you just a couple of the definitions, but first I want to show you this. Set the background. The G20 called on the FSB in June 2019 to examine regulatory issues raised by so-called global stablecoin arrangements and to advise on multilateral responses as appropriate, taking into account the perspective of emerging market developing economies. Now, folks, if you go and you read this document, 67 pages long, you can't read this document without coming to a very simple conclusion, and that is that the XRP ledger is involved in this game and that they're describing it. And I'll show you. I'm just going to show you the definitions right now. Okay. Let's go down to here. Glossary. Okay. Crypto asset, a type of private digital asset that depends primarily on cryptography and distributed ledger or similar technology. They said a private digital asset, folks. They did not say a government-sponsored digital asset. Digital asset, a digital representation of value which can be used for payment or investment purposes. This does not include digital representations of fiat currencies. So they're telling you this is not, they're not talking about something issued by governments right here. They're making it very clear in these definitions. A global stablecoin, a stablecoin with a potential reach and adoption across multiple jurisdictions. In other words, any given country can't have created this thing or own it. It has to be an independent, private thing. That's what they're getting at here. Multiple jurisdictions and the potential to achieve substantial volume. Wonder if they're talking about achieving the volume of a G10 currency like Miguel Valles said the goal for XRP was. Wonder if that could be it. Stablecoin, a crypto asset that aims to maintain a stable value relative to a specific specified asset or pool of backed assets. Now, when I hear stable value, stable coin, right? I'm telling you, folks, that when you start reading stuff like that, if it does involve the XRP ledger, it really starts leading you down a path towards some type of a price set. Just saying. I'm just going to say it. All right. Now, let's go down here, and you tell me what this sounds like. They're giving me a definition of a validator node. An entity on a network which validates transactions. In the context of distributed ledger technology, a node will commit transaction blocks to ledger once they're validated. Now, what have we said to you folks? These validator nodes, these are going to, I've told you, we already know the SEC is going to do one. We already know Standard Chartered Bank, according to Brad Garlinghouse, is going to be a node on the network away. So they're going to have one, which means that banks are going to have them. Government organizations around the world are going to be running validator nodes. You're going to have probably universities in all of these countries. And this is the way that all the countries across the world can trust each other with this global stable coin. Now, just to reiterate the point that the IMF is in this game, this is not just some report that doesn't have to do with the IMF. Along with, this is on page 7, along with the work done by FSB, the G20 asked the IMF to consider the macroeconomic implications, including monetary sovereignty issues in IMF member countries, taking into account country characteristics, the Financial Action Task Force to consider AML-CFT issues. This consultative document will not fit. Anyway, I'm not going to go any further into that, but I wanted to just let you know they're all on the same team, folks. All right. Now, and then to further drive that point home, this is from the IMF's blog. Digital currencies back in September 19th. Digital currencies, the rise of stablecoins. These guys are all in this. Now, let's round this point out, folks. How does XRP have to do with a stablecoin? Well, here's a congressional hearing. This is from this guy, Thal Rather. At a congressional briefing of stablecoins and future of money, Stephen Becker, I think he's from Maker, talks about the future of transparent finance by issuing stablecoins on decentralized, publicly available blockchain to achieve true sovereignty and independence in finance. And then he's going on, but listen to this.
Real world assets. I mean, I'm not going to go into the major debate here, but for a second, if you could tokenize treasury bonds, in other words, create digital representations of treasury bonds and stick them into this protocol, you have trillions of dollars of value available to you for supply of a stablecoin. I am cognizant of the fact that it comes with a hefty debate, but that's just really a thought experiment here. The other aspect about decentralization and what is really important about it is that it is a part of the decentralized finance space, which I also like to call transparent finance. And what is really important about that is that you don't need to go to a bank. You don't need to go to an institution to find transparency. You merely have to go to the publicly available blockchain. And from that publicly available blockchain, you can see the full health of the protocol. You can see where every stablecoin came from and how it was developed, and you can actually see the movement of stablecoin from and back to the protocol. And the basic idea is this: you take collateral which you own, for instance, $150 worth of ETH. You put it into a smart contract. Let's call it a smart vault. And that smart vault belongs to you. So the collateral belongs to you. That smart vault belongs to you. That smart vault realizes, oh, you've got $150 worth of value in there, and makes available to you the credit generation part, 100 DAI. And each DAI is pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar. So let's go through this again. The collateral belongs to you. The smart vault belongs to you. And the stablecoin belongs to you. This is real sovereignty on chain. This is independence. And that is really what a decentralized stablecoin like DAI and the Maker protocol brings to the table. What happens if
He's talking about the DAI Maker protocol, but watch this. The guy then goes on, he says, this resembles a lot to David Schwartz' explanation of the XRP Ledger stablecoin proposal. See the attached fragment. Stephen Becker is also talking about smart vaults. Could this be what Polysign is working on? Safeguarding tokens, stablecoins, handling the smart vaults. Listen to David Schwartz.
So there are these things called collateralized positions. They're on-ledger structures that someone owns, and they hold some amount of XRP, and they can issue an associated stablecoin. That's also what's redeemed against to convert the stablecoin to XRP. If you have a collateralized position, that's an asset that belongs to you, and it has a positive value in the XRP held and a negative value in the stablecoin issued. So, for example, if I lock up $150 worth of XRP and I issue $100 in a dollar stablecoin, that position represents my ownership of the $150 worth of XRP, but my debt of the $100 worth of stablecoin. So it has a value of $50, and that will fluctuate with the value of XRP, and it functions like a leveraged long. They're tracked in an order book by collateralization level, and I'll explain more later about what that order book does.
So there you go. And then this guy goes on, he says, the smart vault belongs to you, i.e. serviced and safeguarded by Polysign. The collateral belongs to you. The stable coin belongs to you. Ethereum, oil, bonds, stocks, gold. If this pans out, there would be tremendous demand for XRP, boosting its property of being a store of value. And then Santiago Velez, who I know is very smart, gave him a tip bot on that action. So I think that they're on to something here big time. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button. And tell your friends and family that XRP could very well be involved in the creation of a global stablecoin. And I think Brad Combs and Mr. Skinny may have just uncovered something that's a monster. Thanks for listening.